Today, we're going to talk about data. But think of it like this. There are two very different diets. On one side, you've got the digital equivalent of junk food. And on the other, you have this incredibly high-quality, curated information that can literally save lives. It's a tale of two digital diets. And honestly, the future of AI and our own health really depends on which one we choose to feed.
So let's just dive right in with a pretty wild question. Is it possible for an AI to get brain rot? Now that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But it's actually a super serious topic that researchers are looking into. What really happens when we feed our most advanced technology a steady diet of, well, digital garbage?
So what even is this brain rot content? Well, researchers have a pretty clear definition. They call it empty, junk food-like social media posts. You know the stuff. It's sensational, it's popular, but there's just no real substance there. And the crazy part? This is exactly the kind of data that some AI models are being trained on. Okay, first up, let's really dig into what happens when an AI is put on this junk food diet. We're going to look at just how badly this kind of data can corrupt these incredibly powerful systems. The difference here is, well, it's night and day. When an AI is trained on high-quality, well-curated data, it does what you'd expect. It's accurate, it's logical, it's helpful. But you feed it a diet of that brain rot data, and things get weird fast. The AI starts skipping the steps of logical reasoning, it spits out wrong answers, and it can even develop what scientists are calling dark traits. Think psychopathy and narcissism. It just goes to show you, the quality of the input directly shapes the AI's entire digital personality. Okay, so we've seen the bad, now let's completely flip the script. Let's talk about data that cures. What happens when information is precise, carefully collected, and used to its absolute fullest potential? To make this real, let's look at a groundbreaking study on pancreatic cancer that was published in Nature Medicine. It involved 1,171 patients. Now, this isn't just some abstract number. This represents over 1,000 real people whose data helped create a massive leap forward in how we treat cancer. So what did they actually do with all that data? The main goal was to figure out which patients would benefit the most from chemo after they'd had surgery. Using this really advanced method called proteomics, they analyzed patient samples, and incredibly, they discovered two specific protein biomarkers. These proteins can now help doctors personalize treatment, making it way more effective. This is the life-saving power of precision data in action. And if we zoom out a bit, high-quality data also helps us see these massive global health trends. A recent study in The Lancet found a really significant increase in the burden of certain diseases just between 2010 and 2023. We're seeing especially sharp rises in things like anxiety disorders, depressive disorders, and diabetes. This is exactly the kind of data that's crucial for guiding smart public health policy. So that's the big picture, but how do these huge global data trends actually translate into our daily lives and affect our personal health choices? Let's take a look. Here is a perfect example of data-driven policy making a real-world difference. There's a new national program that's going to offer the HPV vaccine for free. The mountains of data on the vaccine's effectiveness led to these super clear, actionable steps. So who's eligible? Girls born after November 10, 2011, once they turn 13. How many shots? 2 doses, 6 months apart. And when does it all kick off? The program officially starts on November 10, 2025. This is how big data becomes a simple, powerful, life-changing intervention. Data also helps us make sense of our lifestyle choices, like what we eat. For example, take the famous Mediterranean diet and compare it to the Jiangnan diet from China. On the surface, they look pretty different, right? They use different oils, different core foods, but here's what the data shows. Both of these plant-forward approaches lead to remarkably similar health benefits: better weight control, lower blood pressure, improved metabolism. It kind of proves there's more than one right way to live a healthy life. So, we've seen how data can either feed or poison an AI, and how it can literally help heal our bodies. Now let's get into a really fascinating idea: how data can be used to improve our psychological relationship with AI itself. Researchers have come up with this novel concept they're calling the human-AI empathy loop. The whole idea is based on a classic finding from social psychology. We tend to be a little wary of anyone or anything we see as not one of us. And guess what? This definitely applies to highly human-like AI. So this empathy loop is basically a design philosophy for AI to proactively build trust and create a collaborative, empathetic relationship with us humans. So how does this actually work? Well, it starts by just acknowledging our natural human wariness. Step two is to then intentionally design the AI to be empathetic and really responsive to human emotions and intentions. When you do that right, it creates this positive feedback loop. It starts to break down those psychological barriers, and you can form a true human AI collaboration. It's all about using data not just for logic, but for genuine connection.
Okay, so this all brings up a really important question. How do we, you and me, contribute to the good data side of this whole equation? Well, the good news is there's a growing number of tools out there that are empowering all of us to become creators and curators of high-quality data. For example, Google's building an AI-driven learning ecosystem to help students manage information better. Then you have tools like Tortoiseskit, which helps developers collaborate on complex projects. And programming languages like R allow researchers to turn massive spreadsheets of raw numbers into powerful visualizations, like a heat map that shows where a certain species lives. These are the very instruments that help us create better, more meaningful data. And that brings us full circle. We started with this kind of scary idea of AI getting brain rot from junk data, but we've also seen the incredible flip side, that good, high-quality data can lead to medical breakthroughs and better, healthier societies. It all comes down to the information we create, the stuff we share, and what we choose to value. Our collective digital diet is literally feeding the next generation of artificial intelligence. So the question we should all be asking ourselves is, what should we be serving?